I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Well, last year efforts got underway in Joplin, starting to raise funds for an arts and entertainment center in Joplin, and we've talked about it before in the Newsmakers program. Today we have an update about some efforts that are continuing, and joining me, Clifford Wert with Connective Culture. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Judy. Pleasure to be here.
I know we visited probably in the fall when you were starting to announce public fundraising campaign and so forth, but before we started getting into the current, let's give the people some background. When we talk about arts and entertainment center in Joplin, it's something that's been dreamed about for quite a while before.
That's exactly right. We actually started this process in 2009 about how we could really bring a new and expanded visual and performing arts center and area to Joplin. And so we developed some grandiose plans that centered around, at that point, the Union Depot.
Right down there at First and Main Street.
Exactly, and a 1,200 seat performance hall, a 500 seat Presidium Theater, a brand new home for Spiva Center for the Arts, a potential location for an amphitheater as well, connection into the walking trails of Landreth Park. I mean, we had a grand plan.
And there were drawings and concepts and everything.
There were drawings and concepts. We hired our consultants, the North Group, out of New York City. They came and they conducted multiple interviews. Over 240 people were interviewed, multiple organizations, and they put together a book for us, a Phase 1 feasibility study book. They'd also worked with Corner Greer and Associates here in Joplin, and at that time Westlake Reed Laskowski out of New York City with some potential 3D drawings, and mock-ups about this area. And so we were actually even ready to go into the Phase 2 in May of 2011. And you know what happened.
Joplin took different turns at that point. So the project was basically put on hold while Joplin started the massive recovery project.
That's exactly right. And so we obviously had to see what would happen. Connect to Culture at that juncture waited. We did begin to focus on Connect to Culture being Joplin's community arts agency, where we promote and support all of our arts organizations, and we continue to do that to this date. Our first employee, Emily Frankowski, began with us as a part-time person in 2013, and now she is our sole full-time employee as our community arts director. So we were doing this all the way through 2013, but then once the city and the citizenry began to identify the direction they wanted to go, then we as Connect to Culture came back into how do we proceed with bringing a visual and performing arts center or complex to our community.
So then you did, I'm sure, a lot of continuing background studies, getting feedback from the audience, the public. Where do we want it? What's the best thing for Joplin?
That's exactly right. We started that Phase 2 that we were going to in May of 2011. So we created that new Phase 2. We received that report in September, I believe it was, of 2014. We began to meet with city officials, with school district officials, because the question was, since we've had all of this happen, what existing assets in our community could we potentially partner with? So Joplin High School had just built a brand new 1,200 seat performing arts center. We had the Memorial Hall space. So Spiva wanted to stay downtown. How could we put all of this together? And we began exploring. So we started with this grand plan at First and Main for a $60-some million project. We brought it down to a $32 million project, further brought it down and tested a $23 million project, and thanks to all of those parties that participated in that process that we had in Phase 2, we actually brought it then down to a $14 to $16 million project, and that's where we are here today.
Great. And of course, the downtown location now, we're looking at that.
Absolutely.
And, that's the site that you said, this is what we want to do, invest in downtown.
Exactly. And in fact, when we had that downtown location with Memorial Hall, we actually presented to the city a Plan A and a Plan B about whether to use the existing shell of Memorial Hall and put in a 500-seat slope Presidium Theater and add to the west side with a brand new home for Spiva, or do we look for some other means? And quite frankly, the citizenry at that time said, time out. We do not want to lose the flexibility of the large space that Memorial Hall has to offer. So we told our architects, stop on that phase, on that Plan A.
That building staying in.
And let's go to Plan B, and where could we go adjacent or nearby? And that's where we came to the position of the parking lot with Memorial Hall.
And that's a lot of space there when you look at the size of that parking lot.
It is a full block space, and thanks now to the work that we've been able to do with the city, we have in place the Memorandum of Understanding that was passed by the City Council in October of 2017 that allowed us to seek commitments up to a $14 million number by, under the original terms, November 1 of 2018.
So the city said, you have a year to show us that you can get support.
Exactly. So we began that capital campaign process, and we had great success, but we came to the City Council saying, we're not quite at that $14 million. Will you grant us an extension? Which they did, and so we are now operating under that extension to June the 1st of 2019. So we're about 2.5 months away to reach that minimum goal of $14 million contained in the Memorandum of Understanding. But our real goal is that $16 million number.
For the full number of what you'd like to have. And of course, you have a name for the complex. I think last time when we were talking, it was just, the Downtown Arts Complex. You now haven't named it.
Well, thanks to Mr. Harry M. Cornell, in December of 2018, I have to get all of my dates, 17,
year before.
December of 17, Mr. Cornell committed to the lead gift of $5 million for that complex, the entire block, to be named the Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex. So we're very, very fortunate that Mr. Cornell, and along with all of his family, have stepped up in such a major, major way and benefactor way to allow then others to come alongside them, whether it's a foundation, a business, or individual, to join with them to make a legacy investment into our community. And Judy, we are making great progress.
Right. And imagine that was key, to be able to have that investment, major investment by somebody in the community, or a number of people obviously in the community, before you start knocking on doors and going to others.
No doubt it created such a firm foundation on which to build. And so here we are today, right now, and this is changing every day. But from Mr. Cornell's lead gift that day, we are now up to 142 individuals or businesses or foundations, different donors, and those individual and different donors, they have committed at this juncture $13,284,000 towards that $14 million goal. That's almost, just barely under 95% of that $14 million goal.
A lot of people joining along. So, but let's talk a little bit for the audience so they can visualize. I know you have some drawings. We'll give some details of what we're looking at, and then we'll talk about how others can get involved as well. But I know we have some artist concepts of what it's looking like, and so if we can call up some of the drawings and what we have. So if you can explain to the audience what they're seeing here.
Gladly. So this is from 7th Street looking south. On the Joplin Street or left-hand side will be the 450-seat multifunctional performance hall. You can see an indication of even a fly area for a higher area that we would like to incorporate into this plan, so that such places and local organizations and touring shows, but Midwest Regional Ballet uses the aerials. We want them to be able to come. Heartland Regional Opera might have sets. We want them to be able to come. So that on the Joplin Street side, on the left side, will be primarily a 450-seat multifunctional performance hall. And this is not a black box. This is a fully acoustically designed, high-tech, sound, lighting performance hall.
With all the seating that you need.
It will have a flat floor, a raised stage, and it will have a second floor mezzanine area for the total of 450 seats. And that way we can do so many different things. We can have tables and chairs, we can have high top chairs, we can have row seating, we can have multiple flexibility with this. We can have businesses come in with seminars and speakers with a full audio visual screen system. So this will be a very sophisticated, acoustically designed. So if Pro Musica comes in where they do no sound amplification, that will work perfect.
It'll sound perfect from there.
Absolutely. So we're really looking forward to the multifunctional capacity of the performance hall. Then on the right side, on the second floor, because this is a three-story building.
High, so,
okay. So before we go there, on the on the right side there, second floor, which is basically the Wall Street.
Right behind where it has the wording on the building.
Exactly. That is where the primary new space, that's where the new space will be for the Spiva Center for the Arts.
Oh, okay.
That'll be all of their new galleries, the main galleries, the permanent collection gallery, and the regional gallery. And so this will be, as far as just the main galleries, will be at least a 50% increase in gallery space.
So they're getting a lot more space and
absolutely
climate-controlled space and things like that.
Exactly. That is the key about this. If you look at what our Spiva Center for the Arts has right now and what we can offer with humidity control, environmental control, proper loading and unloading, more security. The national touring shows that Spiva can bring is going to just be absolutely amplified. And that still doesn't count all of the classroom space that we're going to...
So they'll still have their support areas there.
Oh, absolutely. The classroom space, the archive space, the storage space, the prep rooms, so that they can bring out these gallery shows, whether it's our local shows or national touring shows. Then on the third floor of that, and this is, you can even see this in the looking from 8th and Wall, you see up there on your left-hand side, the top corner, that's a 2,200 square foot rooftop venue.
So we can see the glass, the windows that would be on the top of that area.
Exactly. So the top floor is going to be all of our office space for both Spiva and Connect-A-Culture, conference room. But you can see here in this, the upper left-hand corner there, that 2,200 square foot outdoor terrace venue, so you'll be able to have weddings or poetry readings or small concerts or musicians to form. And then you see there in the center, the glassed area, that's the donor lounge with an adjoining outdoor donor terrace. And then you can see to the right, somewhat hidden behind there, but the white is also an outdoor terrace space off of the second floor. But then you see the proposed canopy for the 1,500 person capacity outdoor amphitheater festival plaza. That will happen between this 46,000 square foot, 3-story building. Between that building and Memorial Hall will be this 1,500 person outdoor amphitheater festival plaza. So as part of the building is a covered stage, and the canopy would actually be covering we hope between 100 to 150 seats.
Okay.
So that gives some parties a little bit of coverage from sun or outdoor attendance. But the stage will be a fully covered stage, so our performers on that stage will be fully covered. And of course, it'll have a second floor availability to it for all the proper sound and lighting for a full concert for that stage.
And that's something that I don't think we really have in town. For somebody to come and say, I want to perform outdoors and have a nice facility.
That's exactly right. It'll be a great outdoor facility, and the opportunity then to go into the Cornell complex itself. Maybe we can combine with the performance hall behind, and people can have an outdoor activity, come in for an indoor, go on up to Spiva, see all of the arts. It's just going to be a wonderful, multifaceted asset for our community when it comes to cultural arts, visual and performance, and entertainment.
And really, when you use the term arts, you're talking about a lot of different arts. As you mentioned, the visual, the entertainment, so many different definitions.
The full gamut. People dance. Dance recitals, or people to come and perform, or us to bring in dance performers, comedians. I mean, the full gamut of culture in an arts and entertainment perspective. That's what's so exciting that this facility is going to offer. And then when you look at that in conjunction with, and we've always been saying, the great synergy this offers with Memorial Hall. We're a strong, strong believer in Memorial Hall and what it has to offer as a 2,700 seat capacity, multifunctional big box. So 450 seats, 1,500 outdoor, 2,700 indoor, the whole Mecca, and then what we even have planned ultimately to go all the way from the back of Memorial Hall to 10th Street, with an outdoor park type area. Joplin's future can be really, really fun and bright. A
lot of possibilities for that. And are you finding, you mentioned bringing groups in and bringing entertainment in, that a lot of people, when they look at a community, they have certain limitations. I need a certain size, I need a certain type of venue, and so forth.
And certain performers want that smaller group, that intimate group. Maybe they're a newer performer that doesn't have the name recognition, but if you put 400 people, 450 in an area, there's great energy. But there can be performers, just like we continue to bring with our Curtains Up series, who need that, and we want to have that 1,000 and more in attendance, to be coming and come and see those presenters.
Great. And of course, you talked about supporting the local organizations that currently exist. I mean, there are a lot that are doing things now in our community with the facilities we have, so this will open up some possibilities for them as well.
Oh, we want all of our local organizations to know that they are welcome. Granted, this will be a facility that has to be sustained. So there will be some of those opportunities for people to come, and we will make every effort for the rental of those facilities to be very, very affordable for those parties who want to come in, but knowing that they're going to be coming into an absolute class, exquisitely wonderful facility, that they're going to have all of the top-notch sound and lighting and all of the amenities that they would like to have to present their program in the very, very best way possible.
Great. Well, I know you're talking a lot about entertainment. What about the education side of things? You mentioned briefly Spiva is going to still have things. We think about the ties to the school district, the community, as far as education for the arts.
Education is crucial. I don't have an artistic bone in my body, Judy. I tell everybody. But I saw what music and dance did for my daughters in growing up. And the opportunity for our local students, our local community, our local families, for students to perform in that theater, for students, whether it's a musical instrument, whether it's a dance recital, whether it's an actual theatrical performance, students to come and see a new performer and be exposed to a new form of music or a new form of entertainment, or to go to Spiva and see the world-class touring shows that are coming in, maybe a light bulb will go off in their minds that this is something I want to do, and the classroom space that SPIVA will have to continue to offer to all ages, and to the veterans that SPIVA does, and to those that there's a special autism group that SPIVA works with, and those that are senior citizens with our independent living that come to SPIVA. There are the full gamut of people who want to just learn something new and just experience creative arts in themselves.
Well, I know some of our viewers are probably looking at the drawings and saying, okay, this is downtown, where will people park? It's probably a question you've heard quite a bit.
It's a question we receive
Parking's
every
always
day.
been a topic of downtown throughout the years.
Absolutely, and it's with great pleasure that we're able to say that there are 932 existing parking spaces within 1 block of this Cornell complex.
I think we have a map.
And there's a map there that shows the Cornell complex in blue there in the center. And we have written letters of support for use of private parking lots during non-business hours from Liberty Utilities Empire District, the Jasper County Commissioners, the Joplin Schools, Community Clinic, Pinnacle Bank, as an example, that they are all property owners in and around, along with our public property. And then within 2 blocks, there's a total of 1,625 existing parking spaces that people will have. So it'll be up to us to create an effective parking process for people to use. For example, when they come on Wall Street, on the Wall Street side, on that western side, there's a covered drop-off. So we plan to put a plaque like in their dash, and that car will be able to go and park right directly across the street in the Liberty Utilities Empire District lot, so that they know when they drop off that they have their car right there. And when we fill up that, for example, we might use the community clinic parking lot for our handicapped, disabled, senior citizens
need that close parking
who need that close parking. But you know, it's great to get out and exercise, and walking a half a block, or I go to any performance right now, I walk. I go to the local Walmart and I walk.
Right.
I go to any kind of hospital and I walk. So, you know, it's the parking is going to be very, very convenient.
Right. And of course, you're talking about an area in Joplin, and people are saying, well, do we have enough people to support this type of activity in Joplin? You're talking about a regional program. It's not just Joplin city limits.
Right. We had through a study that the Joplin Area Chamber of Commerce was able to provide to us, within a distance of a 60-mile drive, there are nearly 412,000 people residing. And we're not, as showing in that map, we're not even getting into northwest Arkansas.
So this is showing us they're going over to Kansas and Oklahoma and the ranges of the travel distances.
Exactly. And so Joplin is a sales tax driven community for a lot of its city finances.
Right.
And we're a hub, and granted we attract 250,000 people on a daily basis.
Right.
And they're coming into this area and they're spending their tax dollars on a daily basis. But for us to even help to grow those taxes, we believe that this arts and entertainment complex will be a possible drawing to attract people from a broader circle who will bring their disposable income and their disposable dollars to not only pay for or to attend an event, whether it's free or whether it's a paid admittance, but they're going to be buying their gas, going to the restaurants, going to the retail, you know, shopping in our stores, and they're going to be creating an economic impact for our community. So it's a win-win. We realize we're not the sole answer, but we believe this will be a part of the answer to help our community grow, let alone to be a place where people will want to live, work, play, and stay right here in Joplin in this area.
Now, going back to the fundraising, you mentioned about 95%. If people are watching, what they would say, well, how much money do you have to give? I don't have $5 million. You know, how are you approaching people at this point as far as the donors? You have 142 different donors already. So what are you looking for?
Every donor is very, very important, and every dollar is so needed. Every dollar. We literally have $1 in contribution because a gentleman came to the Arts Fest, and we had a presence there talking about Connect to Culture, and we said every dollar counts. He literally gave us $1. So we literally have from $1 to Mr. Cornell's $5 million gift. People are giving to this, whether it's an individual donation, a $50, a $100, a $500. Some are giving over multiple years. Some are giving $100 a year. I have one that says take out of my credit card $31.25 every quarter for 5 years
so
for my $500.
Plan, right?
You know, so we have multiple gifts, whether it's that $500, whether it's $1,000, $5,000. You know, this past week and every week we are receiving
gifts. So your numbers will be changing between the time we tape this and the time we air.
Exactly. This past week we had a $50,000 commitment. We received checks for a $5,000 commitment. You know, a one-time gift. So anybody and everybody can say, I had a part in Joplin's future by supporting this investment. There is no public money going into this apart from the donation of the land from the city of Joplin. Every penny else is total private dollars from individuals, foundations, businesses within this community, within this area, within this region, who say, arts and culture are important, and we believe it will help us to attract people to our community for our labor force. It will help to attract the spouses of those who are coming or wondering what is there to do in Joplin. So we're excited about what this is all going to mean for our Joplin communities, Judy. So
is Connect to Culture the contact point? If people are watching, they say, well, who do we need to talk to? How do they contact Connect
Absolutely. ConnectToCulture.org, ConnectToCulture.org/Cornell-Complex.
Okay.
ConnectToCulture.org/Cornell-Complex, and right there when you go to that website, it has either Donate Now, where you can do a one-time donation, credit card, however, or there's a gift form that you can also click on, and you can fill out and send in. If you want to do a multi-year, we have naming opportunities for multiple gifts. We have some matching opportunities, but it's a great opportunity for people to say, I have a legacy in this. We will have a donor wall that will show all of the donors from
make it happen.
That from $5,000 and above. So whether it's an individual, a business, a foundation, and then within the building with those donors that do make a gift of $15,000 or more, we will have their names on various aspects within the building, noting their support. Yes.
Well, sounds like a lot happening, and I appreciate the update, and I'm sure the audience does as well, and look forward to a follow-up later this spring or into the summer.
We're gonna have some exciting announcements before June 1st. Right. Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank you, the audience members, for joining us this week on Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. Hope you could join me again next week at the same time on the station. We'll see you then.